Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome into the Campfire. I'm Ashley Billington, and this week we are breaking down District 17 6A. Let's kick it off by showing you who the teams are in this district in our film session.
Campfire went undefeated in district play last year, but they lose MVP LJ Johnson to Texas A&M. It won't be a complete overhaul as the Bobcats do return defensive MVP Hunter Warren and defensive lineman Lamont Henry. However, Campfire will be looking for offensive skill position players to step up if they are to win another district title, which may leave the door open for a team like Houston Memorial. The Mustangs went 6-1 in district last year and returned Carson Zahn in the backfield and Christian Braddock at receiver. A couple of teams went young at quarterback last year, and it may pay off for them this year. Cy Creek started freshman Brad Jackson, and he led them to 4 district wins and a playoff spot. Over at Jersey Village, due to injuries, the Falcons went with Adam Tron as quarterback, and the freshman threw for 1,500 yards and 17 touchdowns. Both teams should show improvement with experienced young signal callers. Despite finishing tied for third in district with a 4-3 record, Stratford was the odd team out of the playoffs last year. Running back Diego Denson and wide receiver Hawkins Pauly will try to make sure that doesn't happen again this year. Cyridge brings back the district's best receiver, AJ Goodendotten, but will need to groom a quarterback to get him the ball. Springwoods and Northbrook probably won't be in playoff contention, but should scrap for wins.
Some really great teams in District 17 6A, and they are filled with phenomenal players. Let's introduce you to some of the top ones and our players on the rise.
Last year, Cy Creek turned over the reins to their offense to freshman quarterback Brad Jackson. He did not disappoint. He threw for almost 2,200 yards and 20 touchdowns for the Cougars as he helped them earn a playoff spot. Jackson was also named Offensive Newcomer of the Year in the district and is looking forward to a stellar sophomore campaign. Cyridge wide receiver AJ Goodendotten only played 6 games last year, but he certainly made the most of them. The senior caught 28 passes for 620 yards and 6 touchdowns for the Rams as a junior. He was one of the district's best big play receivers as he averaged over 100 yards per game. Goodendotten was first team all-district and look for him to make a run at offensive MVP this year. One of the best running backs in the district is Houston Memorial's Carson Zahn. He is the only 1,000 rusher returning in the district as he totaled 1,003 yards and 12 touchdowns as a junior. As a first-team all-district selection, Zahn averaged 125 yards a game and should help the Mustangs fight for a district title in 2021. Campfire returns the district defensive MVP and linebacker Hunter Warren. He is terrific on the blitz as he broke through 4 sacks last year. But he's just as good in the run game. Warren picked up 60 tackles and will be a force to be reckoned with this year for the Bobcats.
Phenomenal players in District 17 6A, and they are led by some really great coaches. Let's bring in Jersey Village's David Snookhouse with Word for Sold and our Media Day segment.
All right, 17 6A, we are joined by Jersey Village head coach David Snookhouse. Coach, talk to me a little bit about last year, because interesting thing about your team is you were with freshman quarterback last year. Same thing happened at Cy Creek, and that was a COVID year, so you didn't have much practice time. It's an interesting run, and how did it work out for you as far as, teaching him the ropes, teaching Adam the ropes?
Well, like you said, it was very interesting. We took some hits early, but as the season went on and he got confident, he actually ended up doing a heck of a job. I can remember in the playing Campfire, which, we get beat, can't even remember the score, pretty handedly. And I told someone, I said, that's the turning point of the season. They all looked at me like, what do you mean? Well, remember when Adam's eyes were like this, and it was just like, wow. But I think at that time of the year, defensively, we turned it over 6 times. Not saying we would, if we didn't, that was going to change the outcome, but our defense really stepped up and went from there. And, after that game, I told Adam, I said, don't worry about it. There ain't nobody better. You're going to play for a long time. So, and, the rest is history. Went on, did a heck of a job.
Let's take a look at the district as a whole going into this upcoming year. I mean, you obviously have your Side Fairs and your Houston Memorials, but you also got that Side Creek team over there that's got a sophomore quarterback too running out there, and Brad Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson's. I mean, he is. You know, he had a heck of a year too for Side Creek. Greg does a great job with those kids. They'll be someone to reckon with. You know, like always, our district's going to be tough from top to bottom.
Can't wait to see what happens, and I appreciate you joining me this morning. And I can't wait I'm ready for August 26th already. Let's get this thing going.
Well, I am too. I sort of going to miss my start in late September from the heat factor. That was pretty good, but we are too. We're looking forward to it. Getting ready to get out of school and have a couple of weeks off and get these kids back to going. And I appreciate you letting us talk about football today.
No problem.
Coach Snookhouse, thank you so much for joining us here on the Campfire. You can catch the entire interview on Thursday in our Media Day segment. It'll be on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Now we bring in the Inside High School Sports Insider, Matt Harris, for the district breakdown.
All right, it's district breakdown time. We are doing 17-6A, and we're joined by Matt Harris, our Inside High School Sports Insider. Let's talk a little bit about this district. Man, this district had a lot of freshman quarterbacks starting last year. When I say a lot, maybe just two, but to me that seems like a lot for a COVID year. But what do you think about the district this year?
Yeah, you mentioned the two freshman quarterbacks. One at Side Creek was second team all-district, and Jersey Village quarterback Adam Tran was honorable mention. So those teams are going to be set for next year, and really the long term at quarterback, having two outstanding freshman quarterbacks in the district. Now, obviously, the big team to watch is Sci Fair, 10-2 last year, perfect through district. Lost to Bridgeland at the end of the year in believe it or not a inter CFISD but still non-district game, and then of course went on to lose to Tompkins in the playoffs. But Sci Fair and Memorial I think really stood out to me last year as teams who really excelled in this district. Memorial was 7-3, lost to Lamar in round one, but they returned some young talent as well. Despite the fact that Sci Fair has some questions as to who might step up, I think they're maybe more well-equipped to replace that talent than perhaps other teams might be. Now, speaking of those other teams, Memorial, I'm looking at wide receiver Kyle Siblick had a great year last year. Side Creek, we mentioned soon-to-be sophomore quarterback Brad Jackson, who was second-team all-district as a freshman. And then Jersey Village with Adam Tran had a great year as well. And then I'll mention Stratford as well. They returned wide receiver Hawkins Pauly and defensive back Anthony Kuhel, who had a great year last year.
It should be a tight district. I can't wait to see it. I kind of got my eye on the Falcons of Jersey Village too, because they do bring back the sack leader too, Landon Suarez. So should be interesting to see who's is this the time for somebody to jump at Sci Fair? We'll see. I appreciate you coming on, and 18-6 days next week.
Yes, sir.
Matt Wiz, great insight as always. That's all we have for this week's episode of The Campfire. Come back every Monday to see the new district that we'll be breaking down. Until next time, I'm Ashley Billington, and thank you so much for watching The Campfire.